So my name is Sawyer, and I live in Japan. I'm half Japanese, half American, born and raised in Japan and Hawaii. And so I came across the concept of sustainability in California when I was in college. And from there, I've just been exploring what is sustainability, and then from there, what does it mean to live, to be alive, to be on this planet. And I was living in the jungle in Costa Rica for a while and just chopping wood, living with monkeys, picking my own food. And that was really when maybe the first time I knew what the earth was, what it meant to live on the planet, and that I was living in a context where nobody would take my money. It was just animals. Nobody but humans use money, and everybody lives. And so that's for me maybe the deeper experience that has forever transformed me is every creature on the planet lives for free except us. And we're always worried about money and always have these money issues, and so I'm trying to figure out like what how can we remember how to live on the planet, how to be on this earth, how to take care of each other just as a natural thing, not as a special service that we do. And so in my exploration, I came across something called permaculture and nonviolent communication and mindfulness and all these really amazing things that we've always had. Indigenous cultures, all of our ancestors have been practicing that has allowed us to come this far on our journey as people. And so for me, it's just like, how do we remember this and how do we interface with modern culture that's really excited about new things and, and about business and about growth, which is a real cultural phenomena. So yeah, I guess my mission right now is to bridge what I learned in the jungle in Costa Rica with Tokyo, this hyper busy capitalist society that is always saying we don't have enough, and I've started to explore deeper what this term sustainability is, and in Japan there's not a really good translation, so we call it sustainability, which is basically the word in English. But in Japan we have other concepts that have been around longer than the word sustainability, and the closest translation that I like is kyosei, which is the Chinese characters together and to live together. And that's exactly what we're doing on this planet, is we're living together. It's like a big shared house, and we have the ants and we have the monkeys and we have the mold and and different types of people, and so I think really what the question is how do we live together? We have all the resources that we need, so how do we live in harmony so we don't have conflict with our family members? How do we share the resources that if we shared it, we have enough, but if we start to hold on to, like this is my food or this is my money or this is my house, then we don't have enough because everybody can't have their individual products for everything. And so, yeah, that's a lot of just kind of the questions that I'm exploring. How do we remember these things that were so natural a couple hundred years ago and we've lost so quickly? And the concrete projects that I'm doing in Japan is, so I've been doing lots of workshops in Japan and around the world on permaculture and so sustainable living. Like, how do you grow your own food? How do you get free water? Because water's free, air is free. Food, if you grow it, is free. All these things that sustain our lives are gifts from the earth. So how do we bring that back into our lives, and how do people in the cities bring that into their lives? Because I think that's really the challenge. And how do we know what's enough? So this is another Zen concept from Japan, is there's a phrase, to know what's enough. And when we don't know what's enough, we want more. But there's no limit to more. We always want more and more, and that's the design of capitalism. That's the design of our current culture, is we need to keep growing. But the only thing in nature that continues to grow without having sort of a cycle of life and death is like things like cancer cells. So how do we remember like it's enough, and it's time to pass yourself to the next generation and let the next generation continue us in our journey. And so I do workshops that look at those deeper philosophical ideas and also how to integrate it into our lives. And all my workshops I try to do on a gift economy basis, so no fees. You can support me if you want, but you don't have to. And my experiment is, can I live my life like that? Like without charging people for what I do? Can I live off of the goodwill of people? And can I just live like everything else, like the trees, the plants here? They don't ask for anything. They just do what they're supposed to, and they provide us air and water and shade. And so I'm trying to learn from the trees and live more like the trees, but engage with Tokyo, engage with our urban environments. So that's one big thing that I do. And another thing, I've just started this place called the Peace and Permaculture Center in Chiba Prefecture. And it's a place to train mainly young people to live with the earth, and to be able to regenerate the earth, to be able to regenerate community. And so a lot of what we learn there and what we experiment with is, so they live mainly with wood. So we chop wood, and you cook all your meals with wood. Our water's from whale water, and so it's free gifts from the land. And we plant rice and we grow food, and if we have issues in our community, we don't try to run away. We try to engage with it with compassion and try to practice to be more authentic. And it's really hard in Japan because people hold back more and try to keep harmony by repressing themselves. But we're trying to experiment with how do we be more relaxed, more open, and have care for each other. And so sort of not just being individualistic, but not just killing yourself for the collective. It's sort of like being fully you and letting others to be fully them. And if a conflict arises, to be able to bring the compassion of that ecosystem, the community, to be able to transform the situation into something more beautiful. And so all of us can learn and invite other people to kind of explore that kind of community. And then to expand that sense of community from the people who have similar values or who look like you or who you feel most comfortable with, to including the people who maybe you don't really agree with, you don't really feel comfortable with. Sometimes children are that. So we have children living at the dojo, and it's challenging because children have a different rhythm, and you want to do this, but they want to do this, and they start crying. And so to be able to treat children as equals, because our societies don't, they're usually lesser people that need to follow the adults. So we're also experimenting and challenging ourselves to be like, if they were equal, how would we live? And then also creatures, so the bacteria, the yeast, the ants, the mosquitoes, the trees, to have them as also part of our concept of community, because without them we would be dead. And so how do we sort of slowly see that community is all around us, and it's just we need to start to accept that we're not special individuals, but we're part of an ecosystem. And how do we live as part of the ecosystem, which is really, I think, that idea of sustainability, or kyosei, the living together, coexisting together. So yeah, so those are just the experiments, and we try to do everything on a gift economy basis because the earth is a gift, our life is a gift, and try to have fun and not get too serious. Yeah. So with my workshops, my main audience is, well, I try to get at young people because I really like young people, and that's how I changed, was in college. So a lot of my participants are people in their 20s or 30s. The people in their 30s are people who are working a corporate job and realize that their health is falling apart, or they're tired, or it's just not aligned with their values, and they're trying to look for an escape, a way out. So they come to my workshop and then eventually quit their jobs. Um, and but I also start to work with children, and sometimes older people will come, and I really see it as an ecosystem. So there's a lot of people I don't reach, and especially the corporate sector, the politicians, although some politicians have come. But the way I see it is, as long as I live it, then other people will be influenced by that, and then they'll start to live it, and they'll influence their population. So it's really a collective effort. It's not just about how much I can do, but it's the ripples, you know. It's like I drop a thing in the water and it ripples out, and then somebody else gets hit by a ripple and they're like, that might be what I want to do, and then they start to do it. And everything I do is open source, so nothing I do is trademarked, nothing is, you know, like I share everything that I can, because I'm not trying to make a profit. I just want to live in a really awesome, you know, planet. And so that's my current motto, is the most important thing is for me to live my values and to practice what I preach, because then it's real, it has impact. It's not an idea. It's like, I'm not going to do a business. I'm going to just share all these things that I've paid money to learn, but everybody needs to know this, so I'm not going to have that be the barrier. And then when people's hearts are affected, they'll start to spread it. And that's what's happening in Japan, is now we have professors who like have been influenced by some of the things that I've done. Now they teach that in school, so they have a huge audience. There's people in the banking sector who's kind of come in contact with these ideas and are starting to do it. So it's spreading, and it's spreading a lot faster than it used to. But yeah, there's definitely still lots of creativity that needs to happen in a lot more people that we could influence. But it's also like, how do we keep the scale so that we can live healthy lives too? Because that's also the challenge. Is like, there's so many, the problems are so massive, and there's so little time and so little money, and you know, but we need to spread and grow, and sometimes I feel like maybe that really kills the being part of what I do. Is like, I get so caught up in the doing. So it's like, how can I always be being and doing at the same time, and not go beyond what I'm capable of? You know, like each tree produces so much oxygen, so much shade, so much water from transevaporation. But the forest is what keeps us alive, you know, not just one tree. And so to just keep remembering that I'm just a tree with lots of friends, and as long as my heart is in the right place, that'll ripple out. And the quality of what I'm spreading is going to be a lot more powerful. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I approach it.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Oh,